Hey, hi everyone. So today we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is the recursive function in our today's video. And recursive function, I'm pretty much sure that all of you have heard of this one already before. But today, what I'm going to discuss, I'm going to discuss what is the recursive function. And I'm already knowing that you all are aware about, but just give me 2 minutes. I will just give you a basic knowledge about the recursive function. Recursive function is something that we can utilize in respect of the where we have the n number of loops we need to use. So rather than going with the loop, we can go with the recursive function. And also recursive function is good to use in the coding. Once someone else will look into your code base, then it will be looks nice and it will be readily available to read it out. So on those aspects, recursive function is really good to use. Also, we have a certain limit to use the for loop for any of the circumstance, but recursive function is something which we can use it at that point as well. And also it's, I can say, very not the optimized one, but it's good to use where we can utilize it. Now you might be thinking where we can utilize it. It's a very good scenarios where we are having n number of times we have to use the for loop, where we don't know the how many times we have to use the for loop for any of the circumstance to achieve that part. And like the factorial of a number, like something else. um, and on the same sense, today we are going to discuss a very good problem statement, I can say. uh, Nested list sum with the depth uh, weighting. So now, if you will think about a problem statement here, which is already I have mentioned on my screen, I have written it down just to save some time. So problem statement is nested list sum with depth weighting. Now, what do we understand from this statement? So from this statement, we uh, we will have a nested list of integers, and that list may contain another nested list or an arbitrary depth. And we have to write the code in such a way that it will sum of all the integers, whatever available in that list, and inclusive the determining by the depth of each integer. So what I mean to say, might be is a very something which I have already written here that I have just read it out, but try to understand it now. What I mean to say, weight calculation we have to do. Okay, suppose this nested list they have given 146. Okay, now what we have to do, if 146 we are having here, let me open a notepad. Okay, now suppose we are having here, let me copy this one. Writing of code is something that we can do in a very quick manner, but understanding of the problem statement is much important task. Then only you will understand the problem statement, you will write the code according to it. So let's understand the problem statement first. So we have a list here, and depth is always start from 1. That is true. Okay, depth is always starts from 1. So we have a list here. Okay, and at the first occurrence we found it out, the 1 is here. So what should be the calculation we have to do? So whatever the value into whatever the depth. Okay, so what we will have, 1 into 1, and what it will give, 1. Just go for the second element. At the second element, the depth has been increased by 1. Depth plus 1. Sorry, my bad. Depth plus 1. So now what we will have it, what we will have now? So we will have 4 into depth was previously 1, right? So now what we will have, 4 into 2, 1 plus 1, right? So what we will have, 8. Same goes for 6. Now again depth plus 1 into depth plus 1. So now what we will have? 6 into, previously depth was 2, so now it became 3. So what it will have? 18. So now we have to make a sum of all. So 1 plus 8 plus 18. So 18 and 8, 26 and 27. It should be 27. We should get the output of this one as 27. Now let's take another example. Suppose we are having here, let's do in that way. 1, sorry, 3, 4, 5. Then we are having here 1 is closing out here. We are closing this bracket as well. Sorry, my bad. We are closing this bracket as well. We are closing this bracket as well. We have closed 4 brackets. One is there. Now what we will write? Comma 2, comma. Then we will open a new bracket here. Then write 3. Then again opening a bracket. 4. Just one more minute it will take, might be. First I am closing it out here. Then I need to close this one. Then I need to, these two I have closed and only one left, which is this one. So let's close it out. Now let's see this scenario. What will happen here now? So what will happen here now? We have the depth at the first place, right? So depth is again starts here from 1. Okay. Now what it will do, it will traverse from this list. It will go into the second list. It doesn't find anything, but depth will get increased. Now the depth is, which is 2. Let me copy it out. Okay. Now at the third one, it doesn't find anything, but depth will get increased, which is 3. Now depth will again increase because here we didn't find anything, so depth will get increased by 4. Again it's find, come here, now it find anything here. So what is the depth now? Depth is 5, right? Now if depth is 5 here, so what we will do? We know that whatever the value we will found, so value we found 1 into depth equals to 1 into 5 equals to 5. Make sense? Now think in that way. Here till we have came 5. But now what it will do with the 2? So now it will come back to 1 here, right? Because these 4 will get completed. So we will come back again by the 0, means on the 0 square. And now what we will have here? We have the depth here now again 1. We will depth here again 1. And at the 1th depth we found it out is 2. So what is the value will be now? So let's do it very quickly. 1 and 2 we have found it out 2. So here we will found it at 2. Now depth will get increased again, because here we have not closed anything, depth will get increased here. So is 2, our value is here 3, and here it will be go 3 into 2, which is 6. Again it will get increased by 1. If you will look here, because it is not get closed here, so it's again open. Depth is now 3 and value is 4. So what it will do, it will do 4 into 3, which is 12. So what we will find it out here, we will found that what our values are here. First value is 2, right? So 2 plus 6 plus, sorry, 2 plus, sorry, 5. From 5 it's get started, my bad. 5 plus 2 plus, here we go, 6. Then the last value is 12. So what should be the value here? 12 plus 6, 18, 18 and 2, 20, 20 and 5, 25. So it should value should hold 25. So we will use these two examples in our code base, and let's see what we will find it out. We can use one more scenario which we have not discussed here, but I will make sure that we will use these two example, and let's see if our code base will gives the same output or not. Okay, I think till now you have understand the problem statement and you know how to calculate it manually, because at the first place you should know that how to calculate it manually, then only you can build the logic. If it is not, then you can't build the logic. So what we have learned here, we have learned here that depth will get increased by 1 each and every time once it finds a list, and if there is any value, then it will multiply it by their depth, and if it is closed, then it will get decreased and it will come at the one one place, not at the one place, it should be depending on the situation, and then it will go ahead again. Okay, we have discussed a lot here. Now let's move something to the coding base. Okay, so what I will do, I will just write a, let me write it out here. Okay, so let's do def, I'm giving it as a name as what I can give, nested sum, def nested sum, and what we will found as one list which I can giving as here as a num, and depth we am giving to start from the 1. Okay, we are going to utilize each and everything here, so you will surely come to know. We have to calculate total each and every time, so let's give the total as 0, because we don't have calculated anything, just initializing a value. Now what we have to do, we have to traverse the list, right? So what I will do, let's do for element in array. Make sense? Now what I'm checking, if is instance, is a keyword in Python which will give you that whatever the value you will give at the first parameter should be with the same data type which you will pass in the second parameter. So element, I'm asking if this element is a list. If yes, then what it will do, it will go ahead and do a summation on total plus equals to, means on the total I am writing it out, nested sum, because it might have the other values as well. So what I will do, I will just give this one and then element and then depth plus 1, because we have the depth here 1 and I have increased it by plus 1, and element if is a list. If it is not a list, then it will not go for the nested sum. Then our recursive function doesn't require here. And we will write that case as well. But if it is a list, then it will go ahead with the recursive function. Here we are using the recursive function. Why? Because here I have given the nested sum, which is already I have mentioned here. And if we have the values found again it as a list, then it will break it out in the nested sum function, nested sum function as well. Because again it will go with the same thing. So you can see now here that if the same type of problem sequence occurs again, so I am not going with the again writing a for loop. I have just called a recursive function that go and do the same approach again with with this recursive function. Now let's do right say if it has a if statement is list, so we should have a as a statement. If it's not a list, then what it will do. If it is not a list, then total plus equals to element to depth. Okay, and then I guess it's done. Return list. Sorry, my bad. Return total. So what I am doing here, if it is not a list, so let's do one thing. Do a calculation of element into depth and do a summation into total. So whatever the total is here, and why we have kept here plus, so I can write this one as total plus this one as well, but it doesn't looks good. So what it means to say here, that whatever the element into depth you are having and whatever the total value is having right now, just add that value into the total now. So what I mean to say here, that 1 plus 8 plus 18, these things already available. 1 is already available there, then we have calculated 8, then we have calculated 18. That is something which we have done here. Now you might be thinking how the recursive function is working here, that how it will go into the else condition and how it's calculating. So once it will go through with the, let's take an example first, then you might will understand it in a much better way. So let's give a nested list 1 equals to, I'm taking the same example right now. And yes, I think that is it. Let's print one, print nested sum and pass here nested list 1. Okay, now run it. You've uh, you found it out, right? It's 27, and we have also calculated here its output value as 27. Now how it's calculating? First it's go with the 1, but again it found it out 4, so its distance is 4. Yes, is 1 is the one list, and then it's again found it out 4. It will keep these things 1 4 in memory. Once it reach till 6, it will do 6 into depth. It till here reached at 3, so 6 into 3 18, and total will become as 18. Now it will calculate the value of 4 into 2. Then it will go into 18 plus 8 6 18 plus 8 26, and then last one 1 into 1, and which is comes as 27. Hope you understand this one. Now let's come with the another one. I will not delete this one. Nested list 2. So what it will do, let's take that example which I have already mentioned in my notepad. 1 2 3 4, give here as 1, give here as 3, then give here as 4, and at the last session, okay, let's see what it gives. it should give 25, and we have also calculated the same 25, right? Hope now you are understanding in much more better way. Let's take one more example, which we have not discussed, but for you guys to calculate, I am just giving parameter values. So let's check. First think that what it will provide to us, then move, then pause it this video. Once I will just give me a sec. Let me write it first. For let's take one more. 5. Okay. Let's pause the video here and think what you will get from this one. And if your manual calculation will give the same output, which we will cover in the after running this scenario, then you understand the problem statement as the recursive function as well. If not, then reiterate the same thing and then do your calculation, then come back again and then look into the solution. So here we go. Let's calculate. It's giving 55. So it's a work for you guys as well, that you need to calculate how this 55 has been calculated. And I think I have covered all the scenarios with the problem statement, with the recursive function, why we have used. We can use recursive function in calculating of the factorial as well. So you can think how you can write the factorial of a number using the recursive function. That is also a question for an interview. But this question is something which is to check your recursive function and as well how the logic you can build. Because in the real world scenarios, you will came across with such type of situation and you have to work around. So I'm hoping I have cleared all of your doubts according to this problem statement and using the recursive function. So I think I'm good as of now. So keep learning, keep growing. Thank you guys. Bye bye.